Some core exercises, just taking a blanket underneath my head, rolling down onto the ground, knees directly on top of heels, and heels a little bit wider than mat, shoulders away from ears, pressing down through the heels, exhaling to come up, squeezing knees and thighs together, so just pulsing 1, 2, 3. So as we squeeze knees and thighs together, pelvic floor drawing in and up and releasing down. So doing that a couple of times, breathing out and breathing in to roll back down again, release the lower back. Activating both gluteal muscles and all the muscles deep into the pelvic bowl, drawing the four corners of the pelvic floor together and then lifting up, exhaling, inhaling, and then feet up, so baby pose, just releasing all the glutes and the inner thigh muscles, pulling down with fingertips on the inside of the feet, and quite nice to pull one foot and then the other, so massaging across the spine. And then feet high and knees and ankles at a parallel line here, so calves parallel to the ground, knees just on top of pelvis, base of the rib cage dropping down, so not flaring the ribs with a big gap through the lower back. Instead, just nice neutral spine here, drawing all of the corsetry muscles in towards the spine. Starting off, hands on the outside of the knees, pressing out with knees and in with hands, so activating these outer thigh muscles that stabilize the pelvis, shoulders away from ears, and as you exhale, drawing right up through the pelvic floor, so it's a kind of a lifting sensation through the cervix. And then hands as fists on the inside of the knees, shoulders away from ears, pressing in with the knees and out with the hands. So activating those inner thigh muscles and also pelvic floor lifting and deep transverse abdominal muscles coming down towards your spine. And then hands just above the knees, so this time pulling back with toes, starting to press the knees into the thighs, into the hands, and pressing the hands into the thighs. And as we increase that pressure, pelvic floor drawing in and zipping right up, right into those deep core muscles, switching everything on. So with that counter pressure, it's just that little bit easier to get that pelvic floor lift. Good. And then I'm just going to drop one toe and then up on an exhalation. So all of the corsetry muscles are switched on. Really good for lower belly. But doing it on an exhale, little pelvic floor lifts as each toe comes up. And then trying two. This only works if we're not feeling pressure through the lower back. So we just want to be very, very mindful that we only progress to this version if we are able to keep that comfortable neutral spine here. And then feet up towards the ceiling, roll those ankles. And I like to, hands down on the ground, just press heels up as I exhale, so tilting pelvis up off the ground as you push the feet towards the ceiling, exhaling. It gives us a little curl through the lower belly. Good, down, and just massaging through the lower back, tilting the pelvis in one direction and then the other. So we're also switching on the deep transverse abdominal muscles when we do this. If you've got separation through the recti muscles, this is not such a good one to do, but I like to bend one knee and place the ankle on top of the other foot, hand so that the fingertips are just on the back of your head. Now, rather than just pushing upwards and making this action come through the core here, instead, I'm pulling through the pelvic floor, drawing up through the pelvic floor, zipping all the way up, and that lifting action through here is starting to draw me into a curl and then releasing down. So it's a, yeah, very different from if I was just pushing up from the top upwards. Instead, it's a drawing in from the bottom up. There's a curling coming from the pelvic floor upwards and across the body. So I'm literally feeling my pelvic floor lifting, then the lower belly lifting, and then I feel the top part of my body wanting to curl upwards. So you can only really do these quite slowly so that we do get that activation pelvic floor first, and supporting the weight of the head with fingertips. Other side, pulling up and across, like so. Exhaling through the mouth, as if blowing through a straw. Ladies, I'd really suggest that you don't do this one unless you have that good ability to drop through the pelvic floor before you take the contraction into the core. Good. And then take the feet nice and wide and just dropping the knees from side to side to stretch out through your belly, and also right down into the thigh muscles, into the lower back. So dropping, pausing on one side, and then up and over to the other side. That gets a stretch right into the lower back. We might have created a little bit of tension there. Wonderful. Knees in and massaging right around. Knees in the same direction this time, one direction and then the other. And I always like to finish with a twist. So arms out to the side, dropping the knees to one side. So we create a nice releasing twist. Fantastic for digestion, and also just to release core muscles. Again, if you've got quite a significant separation through those recti muscles, it's best not to come into twists just yet, or you just make these a bit more shallow. And then taking the knees up and over to the other side, twisting, releasing right through the back, and getting a good vascular flow through those intestines. Smooth breath. And there you go.